let's start the talk. Okay. Welcome to the Dubois Center for African Culture. And, my name is Bio.
Bio?
Bio. B-A-Y-O. Bio.
Are you Nigerian?
I'm half Nigerian, half Ghanaian.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, what tribe are you?
I'm Yoruba.
Yoruba? Okay. I'm Fulani.
You're Fulani? Okay, then you're from the north.
Right.
Well, you don't look Fulani. Fulanis are usually very tall.
Yeah, I'm the shortest one. I smoked marijuana when I was young. It started my growth.
Anyway, you're welcome again. I don't know how much you know about Dr. Dubois.
I know he was the first black professor at Harvard.
Yes.
I know he died here.
Yes.
I know he helped write the Black Encyclopedia for several African countries.
Yeah.
I know he spoke out, helped the NAACP through the Niagara Convention in America, started the NAACP, and behind a lot of great movements, went around, spoke to a lot of different colleges and institutions on separation in America.
Yeah. Okay.
He also battled Marcus Garvey.
Yeah.
They had lit a few.
That's true.
One was for, separation and improvement. I know a lot about it.
All right, then that's it. Then probably, you know how he grew up too, because I was going to start from where he grew up. He grew up in Bois, Massachusetts. He was born in 1868 on the 23rd of February. And he schooled at Bois in high school before he went to Harvard. He happened to be the first African American to graduate from Harvard with a PhD. Yes, in 1896. Well, when he moved to Ghana, he was invited to Ghana in 1961 to work on an Encyclopedia Africana. And so when he moved to Ghana, this was the house he lived in. Dr. Nkrumah invited him to Ghana to come and work on an Encyclopedia Africana. And it's a 3-bedroom house. Currently, you are in his living room. This used to be his living room. And he's been converted into a Pan-African gallery. So now, on this section of the walls, you find there are paintings of some African leaders. These are leaders of pre-colonial Africa. Africa before colonialism existed in the form of kingdoms and empires. And that was the time we used to have the Nubian kingdom, the Ashanti kingdom, the Egyptian kingdom,
The Ghana kingdom,
the Zulu kingdom, and the list goes on. And so these are some of the influential leaders of those kingdoms before colonialism came in. Cleopatra up there. You find about the Mali Empire. Yes, that's the ruler of the Mali Empire between 1312 and 1327. Mansa Musa, a very, very great leader. He was known to have moved about 12,000 people. He offers people to Mecca and back. Yes, and you notice that he moved just around Senegal. The current location of Senegal used to be the Mali Empire. That was how he began. And he moved these people all the way from here, all through to the Horn of Africa, to Mecca and back, safely. He's also moved to, and those days were not the days of cars or anything. I mean, they walked together, and a lot of organization had to go on. That's what he did. Then, so you find the picture, the painting has some of the people just trying to show how he moved them. And then we have Sonny Ali, the king of Songhai, the Songhai Empire, there as well. One of the most prosperous empire in Africa in those days, during the 15th century.
Shanghai Kingdom.
The Songhai.
Songhai Kingdom. Yes, Songhai. Were they Muslims?
Yes. In those days, most of them were Muslims and traditional. There was the traditional, the usual African traditional religion.
Now, were they slave owners?
The most around that time, the system of slavery during
indigent slavery.
The indigenous slavery, yes, during the how would I say, the kingdom era. I mean, slavery actually existed. Right. I mean, in Africa, but it's quite different from the slavery that was experienced by our brothers that were sent over there. Because they knew about slavery, of course, right. But the system that was practiced in Africa wasn't as dehumanizing as it was. I mean, these people still retained their identity, still were who they were, and the only difference was that they had a different ruler, and so they worked for the ruler, but they still enjoyed some. I mean, it's like they still enjoyed their freedom. They still had their own identity. They still had. I mean, like the Mali Empire actually spread all the way down here, and the remaining people had their own religion, and no religion was imposed on anybody in this kingdom. They still practiced. The only difference was that probably maybe your daughters will have to marry his king or whatever kings, and people's wives were taken. You know, understand? But then people weren't dehumanized and forced into labor. You worked for yourself, but you worked for the progress of the higher kingdom. You understand? But your kingdom also enjoys part of the program because it becomes like a state within a state. You understand? Yeah, it's not like suppressing them. So there was slavery in Africa. Just that the West came and capitalized on it and they used it for their purpose. That's Hannibal of Carthage.
Oh yeah, Hannibal.
Yes.
Read a lot about him.
Yeah.
Great warrior.
A lot of times they depict him as a white Caucasian guy. He's African. When you study the history of the time he lived, that was around 247 BC and then 183 BC. You notice, in fact, a lot of people around the northern part of Africa, like the Egypt and Algeria and the rest, were originally black Africans, like that, until the Arabs came in and intermarried and mixed. And so these are other kings. You can just go through and then.
But don't the original Arabs come from Ethiopia?
Original Arabs? Mm-hmm. I don't know much about Arabs, though, but I know, with the coming of Islam, there were a lot of mixed race coming into the system as well.
Right.
So, they had already experienced mixture with the Greeks, the Romans, and then coming in. So it was a lot of mixture.
Yeah, Bois put these out. Remember these?
Oh,
years ago. Years ago. I don't know. I wish they didn't stop because I didn't capitalize on it then. I would have bought them. Yeah, that was a good thing they did.
Dr. Dubois actually first visited Ghana in 1960. That was the first time he came to Ghana to witness the inauguration of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah as president of Ghana. Ghana had independence in 1957. That's my phone.
Oh, I thought it was mine.
Now, Ghana had independence in 1957, but Dr. Dubois couldn't visit that, although he was invited, because his passport was seized then, so he couldn't come. But
his passport was seized?
Yes, his passport was seized between 52 and 58. He was under trial for being a communistic type.
Communists. They try to make them communists.
Yes.
Because they spoke out. Paul Robeson, too.
Yes, Paul Robeson. Yeah, Paul Robeson actually was exiled.
Okay, yeah.
So those are pictures of him in 60. And then he came back in 61. And this is his birthday pictures.
Wow.
His last birthday. He died at the age of 95 in this house.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and this is the last birthday he had on 20th.
95 years old.
That's a portrait of him at 80, around other African leaders. Some are present, some are past. Now, Dr. Dubois is labeled to be the father of Pan-Africanism. So that's the basic thing behind this wall here. That's why you find different African leaders around his portrait, basically portraying his agenda of a united Africa.
Patrice Lumumba.
Yes. Okay. Dubois wrote poetry as well, and so that's one of his poems on the wall in painting.
Okay.
The title of that poem is Ghana Calls. He wrote this poem in 1962, and he dedicated it to Osaji for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Gil, this mean that he was born on what day?
Kwame. I think Friday or something.
Friday. Oh, okay. It's a big house.
In those days, yes.
Imagine.
What day was Hannibal?
Like his dates or his date of birth or the day. The day.
Kwame.
A Saturday. Kwame is a Saturday born.
Saturday.
Yeah, Kwame is a Saturday born. This used to be his bedroom. And so this was the room he actually died in. He died in his sleep on the 27th of August, 1963. He went to bed and that was it. And he didn't wake up again. Now this used to be his wardrobe. Currently it's serves as a host to his academic gowns. His first degree he had right after Green Barrington High School was from Fisk University. He graduated with a B.A. In social science and philosophy from Fisk in 1888. And then after Fisk, he came to Harvard. Now there's a little story about him going to Harvard. He actually had a scholarship to read in Harvard. And so he actually wanted to read for an MA because he already had a degree, a college degree from Fisk. That was what he thought. But when he got to Harvard, Harvard refused to recognize the Fisk degree because it was considered a lower level black school. And so he had to read all over again for another degree. And then for a an MA and then a PhD, which he had in 1896 there.
Wow. So they didn't want to honor it because it was a black college?
Yes. They didn't want, Fisk was a segregated school then for black people only, and so that's how it came. But between 1892 and 1894, he was also at the University of Berlin to study economics, and but he didn't graduate there because he was actually on a government grant to study in Berlin, but he couldn't graduate because later on when he was studying, the government thought what he was studying wasn't beneficial for the black people. So they brought him back for him to read. That was how come he came back to complete his PhD work at Harvard. And then after Harvard, he taught at Howard University and Atlanta University. And in both universities, he was honored with LLDs, 1930 and 1938. Howard in 1930, of course, and then Atlanta in 1938. And then that's his degree from Harvard, the hood up there. He had a cum laude. And that's his walking stick in the corner. In Africa, an elderly man with a walking stick is seen as a man of high stature and status. So that depicted his status when he was in Ghana. And these are tapestries in honor of him when he visited China in 1959. It also coincided with his 91st birthday, and so he was honored with these tapestries when he was in China. That's the picture of him at Mao Zedong there, and then that's him at the banquet in which he was honored. Now these tapestries are written in Chinese, and so it has been translated into English for us. It says, "A credit to colored races, you are a shining example. Winning universal admiration, committed to world peace, you ride in the east wind, enjoying happy longevity." To Dr. Dubois on his 91st birthday. Now this was the last statement Dr. Dubois made to the world before he died in 1963. He told the world, "One thing alone I charge you. As you live, believe in life. Always human beings will live and progress to greater, broader, and fuller life. The only possible death is to lose belief in this truth, simply because the great end comes slowly, because time is long." Now this was a statement he was using to encourage African leaders then to continue struggling against colonialism. But this statement is quite philosophical and is still speaking to us today, encouraging those of us who have dreams and goals to achieve.
What made him and Chinese people, and what made them click? Because traditionally at that time, they was not clicking with American folks.
Yeah, they were not clicking with American folks. Yeah, the Chinese people believed in communism. They believe in development socially. You understand? But the Americans believe in capitalism. I mean, using what you have to get what you want, and then developing individually. You understand? And so the Chinese people, or the capitalist system is basically a system that allows the rich to become richer and the poor become poorer. You understand? But the communist system actually takes everybody along together. Equal. Yes. And Dr. Dubois thought that was, in those days, I mean, there was no way a black man or an African in the United States would make it. You understand? If the system wasn't made equal. And so Dr. Dubois thought that communism was the best situation, although he had always had some questions about communistic ideas and philosophies. But he felt it was a better philosophy than the capitalist philosophy. But then the Americans thought otherwise. But he didn't join the American Communist Party until 1961 when he was sure he was moving to Ghana or coming to Ghana, and then he joined, and then he came.
Today they try to call it socialism.
Yes, you know, socialism is, you know, what socialism was actually is actually a system whereby, you know, as I said earlier, Dr. Dubois didn't think communist philosophy was the total solution, because he also had questions about some of their beliefs and what they practice as well. Okay. But so that was what brought about the emergence of socialism, because socialism is actually a little bit of communism and then a little bit of capitalism.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the result. I mean, taking out of both. I mean, taking the good out of both and then using it. These are his personal diaries and journals, and then some stamps he collected there as well.
He had his own stamp?
These are some of his stamps. He had his own stamps.
Okay. Yeah.
These are stamps of he himself, you know, the heritage, the Black Heritage USA.
29 cents.
Yes. I have them in the form of this thing as well.
Oh.
Okay, for sale.
Okay.
He actually got them from the US. And then these are some publications about him. These are his family pictures. His father was half French, half Dutch, so he had a white father. His father was a white man. And then his mom was from Haiti.
That's where Dubois come in.
Yes.
French, okay.
Yes, French. His full name was William Edward Bois Dubois. And so Bois was also a Dutch name, and then Dubois was a French name. And so that's his mom there. And then there you have his father, who served in the military, I think, during the Revolutionary Wars. Yeah. But his father left his mom by the time he was 2 years. Yes, because according to Dubois, his mom was quite close to her people. You know, they lived in Great Barrington in Massachusetts, and according to Dubois, out of 5,000 whites, you would count 50 blacks. And so the black population was quite low there. And so racism wasn't really something in your face like how it was in the South.
Okay.
Yes, but his mom was quite close to her family, and so his father didn't really feel welcome amongst his mom's family, so the man left. But he had a very good relationship with his grandfather. There you have a gift he received from the Czech government in 1959. There. You know, when his passport was seized and it was returned to him, he decided to travel the world and he decided to go where the Americans had tried him for the communistic bloc, the communist bloc. So he was in China, he was in Russia, and then he came to Africa, but he didn't come to Ghana. I think he was in Gabon, and then he came back to New York, and then that was when Nkrumah invited him to Ghana, and then he moved. There you have the reason why Dr. Dubois came to Ghana. Those are copies of the Encyclopedia Africana. This was the project that Dr. Nkrumah invited him to come and work on. It actually was his dream to do something like that, because by the 1930s, there had been the first encyclopedia that was basically European based, or for the European, and he felt the African needed something like that. You understand, to be able to trace his or her roots and believe in himself or herself. And so he had compiled a list of topics that he felt the encyclopedia for the Negro, that's what he called it then, would treat. But funding of the project was very, 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 very huge for him, because it was a big project and he had no money. He contacted the United States government and they kept tossing him. It's a very long story about how he got the money, or how he had to get the money. He didn't get it after all though. And he lost hope until Dr. Nkrumah came in, because Dr. Nkrumah had just taken over Ghana. Ghana was quite rich. I think Ghana had about 30 million pounds in its accounts. So Nkrumah thought this was a viable project to invest in. Dr. Nkrumah provided him with the money. And that was one of the reasons why he decided to move to Ghana and work from Ghana. That's one.
Powerful.
These are crisis magazines he edited. You said earlier he was a co-founder of the NAACP right after the Niagara movement, of course. And he served as a director for publications and research for the Crisis magazine for up to 25 years. And so he actually edited the Crisis magazine for close to 25 years.
Still around?
Yes, still around. And these are copies he actually edited himself. And these are copies also we found among some of his stuff here in this house after he had passed on. We don't know why he kept them. Those are the 1933 and 34 copies. And then that's Dr. Albert Einstein's autobiography, My Latter Years. Albert Einstein actually autographed this book and then sent it to Dr. Dubois in 1951.
Wow.
It's in there. It says, to Dr. and Mrs. Dubois, A. Einstein, 1951. Yes, they were close pals. You know, Einstein actually testified on Dr. Dubois' behalf when he was on trial.
Oh, really?
Yes, he actually testified on his behalf. You know, Dr. Dubois traveled a lot. He had been to Germany quite a lot of times, even before he, even after, that was after he studied there. So it's possible that they might have met during those periods. Dubois was quite somebody who liked to share ideas and loved to learn as well. So they had met. We were quite close. That's a plaque in honor of his last days before he died, though. That's December 62. It was at a dinner organized by the Ghana Academy of Science. That was the institution funding the Encyclopedia Africana project, the Ghana Academy of Science. And then there you have him being honored with the Doctors of Letters degree by the University of Ghana. The gown you see him wearing there is what you see behind there. Okay. And then there you have him sharing a toast with Dr. Nkrumah on his 95th birthday. And then the last three pictures are his funeral pictures. He had a state burial when he died, an African traditional state burial. He died a Ghanaian.
He died a Ghanaian?
He died a Ghanaian because, I don't know if he forgot. I told you earlier he joined the American Communist Party and then came to Ghana. I don't know if he forgot that his passport would expire or something. And so his passport expired and then he tried to renew his passport in late 62. But he was denied renewal. And so he applied for a Ghanaian passport. And Dr. Nkrumah actually gave him the first citizen of Ghana.
Wow.
So he died being the first citizen of Ghana.
Now he's honored in America.
Yes.
That's always happened after you die.
This is his wife, Shirley Graham Dubois. He came with his second wife. He was married twice. His first wife was in Angola. She died in 1950 of stroke. And Dubois had two kids with her. The first one was a boy, Bois. He died at the age of 12 this area. But then he had Yolanda in 1900. Yolanda died in 1961. So she died 2 years before her father died. And then that's his second wife, whom he came to Ghana with, Shirley Graham Dubois, is a doctorate degree from the University of Massachusetts. She had this degree there. And she happened to be the first director of Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Ghana's first TV station. But she was a playwright and a media person, and so Dr. Nkrumah thought she would fit in well to be able to train other Ghanaians to that state, to that point. But then she left Ghana in 1966 when there was a coup. A lot of people related or associated with Nkrumah at that time. So she left Nkrumah's wife. She was Egyptian, in fact, and the kids to Egypt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they went to Egypt, and then from Egypt, she went to the US, where she was given that honors. And then from the US, she went to China. She died in China.
Okay.
That's the last gift Dr. Dubois received from the Chinese people before he died. It's a tapestry embroidered with Dr. Dubois in it, holding a Chinese apple, signifying his wisdom, walking with a deer, signifying the peace he represented, holding a staff that shows the caliber of leadership he had, and then two scrolls on the staff representing the depth of knowledge he had. And then it was a master bedroom, so I'll show you the most original room in this house. It's Dr. Dubois' bathroom. This was the bathroom he used, and everything here is original. Nothing here has changed. Now, apart from the paint. And then this got broken because the military guys took over this place and then they vandalized quite a lot of stuff. Yeah.
His stuff down.
Yeah, his stuff was down. So we consider it a private library instead. Dubois' private library study. This is where Dr. Dubois actually worked from, the Encyclopedia Africana. He was quite an old man too. He had his office right in this house, and this room was his office. And then he had an assistant, Hampton, Alpheus Hampton. He served as his assistant. And then when he died, Hampton actually took over the project until the coup, when he also left. The boy came to Ghana with approximately 1,300 books. And not all of them are represented here. Some have become very fragile, and so we put them away. So currently there are about 933 books.
933?
In exhibition right now.
That he traveled over here with?
With 1,300.
That's a lot of luggage.
Yes. No, this desk is an office desk. It's what you use.
Oh, okay.
It's not his. Now, over here are books he authored himself. He authored over 18 books, amongst them Color and Democracy, Black Folks Then and Now, The Philadelphia Negro, Black Reconstructions, Source of the Black Folks. And then we have his thesis that he used for his PhD at Harvard, The Suppression of the African Slave Trade to the United States of America this year. And then some of his lecture notes and pamphlets he used to lecture whilst at the University of Atlanta, or Atlanta University. Yeah. We continue downstairs.
I'm going to take a picture from the door.
All right. Dubois' resting place. He was where Dr. Dubois was buried. He was initially buried in a vault at the Christenborg Castle. We call it the Osu Castle now. That's where the president of Ghana resides currently. That's where Dr. Dubois was buried initially. Then in 1985, when the center was established, Dr. Dubois was brought back here to be buried here. Now this current location used to be Dr. Dubois' gazebo. Now you find him here a lot of times in the evenings and in the morning, seated with his wife, Shirley Dubois, having a chat. He received quite a lot of guests here as well.
Wow.
Yes. And then around this gazebo used to be his wife, Shirley Dubois' garden. So you find him here all the time with Shirley. And so there you have him and Shirley, just like before, enjoying their gazebo. Now these are the ashes of Shirley Graham Dubois. She died in China in 1977, and she was cremated. So it remains were brought back.
Did Michelle Obama come here?
No.
She didn't?
No.
I thought they came here.
No, they went to Cape Coast.
That's it.
So that's it. And that's a Clark Atlanta mask in honor of Dr. Dubois.
Okay.
And then he was also a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they were here to honor him in 2007. So that's the plaque.
They Martin Luther King at Alpha too, I think.
Yes, yes, somebody told you that.
They just honored him when in Washington D.C.
Yes, he was an Alpha as well.
Wow. The first black Greek.
All right, so thank you, sir. Thank you. So that's the end of the tour. I hope you had fun and enjoyed the tour.
We do, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.